Perfect.
Would you like to support the Insiders? Pick up some merch now. Support us by getting a shirt, a hoodie. Support Abby's Window. Get a Shenanigans shirt. Whatever you'd like. Pick up some merch now. Insiders Pro Wrestling. The link is at the end of the video.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday night, and welcome to our latest edition of Between the Ropes with the Insiders. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Lots going on in the world of professional wrestling. Some good, some not so good, but we'll give you all the details tonight on the show. Thanks for coming in. Really appreciate you coming out on a Sunday night. I know there's football going on and a lot of other things happening in the world, so really appreciate you joining us tonight, and glad you can be with us. Going to be a fun couple hours as we recap what happened in this past week of professional wrestling. So welcome in. First, a couple things. Wanted to say Heather is now a mod for our channel. So thank you, Heather, for doing that. We really appreciate that. Jeff and I were talking a little bit behind the scenes and stuff about, people that come to the streams often and things like that, and who could help us out with that. So thank you, Heather, for doing that. And thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Let's see. What do we got? This is a big week, Jeff. We have a big week coming up.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff happening. We, of course, will have, is Abby's on this week, Tuesday?
Yeah. Barring anything
Okay.
out of the ordinary, we will be we'll be here on Tuesday.
Cool. We obviously had Abby's last week, and like Jeff said, it will be this Tuesday, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So that'll be at 6:00 as normal. Thursday we have we have TNA Impact. I wanted to say Impact first. We have TNA Impact on Thursday. Last week was an amazing week for TNA. It really was. The pay-per-view obviously was amazing, and then the Thursday show was just the icing on the cake. So good. I can't wait. We all know it's on this card this week too. There are some stellar matches on this card this week, including Nick Nemeth's first match in TNA is on the card. So much cool stuff happening there. And then this coming Saturday, it's already here. We've got the Royal Rumble. WWE Royal Rumble is this coming Saturday. We will talk more about this as we go, because there's some big things that have affected that, as unfortunate as they are. But the Rumble is here. Rumble is so much fun. It really is always one of the most fun shows of the year to watch because it's the one time everybody always gets up with the surprises and expects the surprises and stuff like that. So, and you never know. We may see that. We saw Mickey James appear at one of these, and so anything can happen. And I think there's going to be some surprises in this year's Rumble. So that will be on Saturday. We will start that at 7:30. I think sounds good. Jeff, sounds good. 7:30.
Yeah. And hopefully, I don't know if we'll be able to get the band together to do a prediction show, but if not, we might start a few minutes earlier than that.
That's not a bad idea. We can always maybe start 7:15 or something like that and do predictions or something. Yeah, that's a good idea. Very good. So and of course, make sure you tune into Tazzy is doing a hype party that day. So make sure you join him for that. And there he is. Look at that. I mentioned his name and there he is. He popped right in. That was great, Tazzy. It was really good timing. I don't know if you were listening, but that was good. That worked out really well. But yeah, make sure you join him for the hype party and then come over and see us starting at 7:15. And we will, unless, like Jeff said, unless we find some time to do predictions, but with our work schedules, it's crazy. So we'll just let it at 7:15 for now. If we do decide to do a separate show for predictions, we'll let you know. But man, a lot of stuff going on. And then obviously next Sunday, we'll be back here. It's NFL Championship Sunday next weekend with the Detroit Lions and the 49ers. And then, of course, whoever wins this game tonight, which is a close one, going up against the Baltimore Ravens. So we will find out who is in the Super Bowl next Sunday for the NFL fans that are out there. So a lot of stuff going on, Jeff. Very busy week, like I said. We try to keep things as positive as we can, but there has been some not so great news that we're going to have to go over this week too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we'll have to go over some topics that aren't great for us as fans and alter plans for companies, but ultimately it's all about the health and safety of the talent, the men and women that wrestle and entertain us. So that's what's most important, but we do have to talk about it.
For sure. All right, let me welcome some people in, and we're going to get started. Let's see who we've got in the house. We got James Grant. What's up, James? Jeremy Dunderman, a member of the channel, as well as Anthony Slate, both in here tonight. Welcome to you both, and thank you for being members. Really, really appreciate you. And we have Clown is in the house. Dylan is in the house. Heather is here, like I said before. Chris Wilhelm is here from Twitch. We've got Brandon Davey is here. We've got Barry Monkey, also from Twitch. Welcome to you. We've got Damien. Hey, Damien, how are you doing? Hope you're well. We've got Tazzy, of course, I said. Say his name and he appears. We've got... let's see who else we got going on. Brandon Davey is here. Michael King. Hey, Michael, how are you? Swack fan is in the house. We've got Andrew Stevens. What's up with you? How are you doing? Greg is here. Deanna is here. Okay, you can start now. I'm here. We've got Mark in the house. What's up, Mark? Brandon Wayne Lewis is here. And I believe I've gotten everybody so far. Yeah, I've got everybody. So welcome into the show. And we're going to dig right into it, Jeff. I'm not even so sure there was a whole lot of breaking news this week, but let's just dig right into the topics because I don't know. I haven't seen anything really announced the last couple of days that could qualify as necessarily breaking news. There's a lot of mishmash and the usual stuff that people are moaning and complaining about on the socials and this and that. And I'm not going to get into that because it's basically all the kind of the same stuff on repeat play. People going at the writers that write about it and spoil things and people going back and forth about stupid stuff. So I'm not going to really get into that. But yes, so I guess we'll dig right in, Jeff, unless there's any breaking news you can think of.
None that I can think of, so we can get started. We already kind of talked about this, but TNA, man, Thursday night was freaking great.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like the look, we went from being on a high from the pay-per-view to getting the getting all the surprises that we did. Of course, the Nick Nemeth ending, and went to the next night and the first night really of TNA Impact, which was of course taped. And like I said to everyone, I hope you didn't spoil it because it's so much better when you don't. But man, we got a hell of a confrontation between these two gentlemen. Nick Nemeth comes out and he's talking about his intentions, and he's talking about how thrilled he is to be in TNA, and this great promo from Nick. But then who comes out to interrupt him but Maclin? Maclin, the villain that everyone hates, comes down, and he's just interrupting him at every turn, knocks the microphone out of his hands every which way you could disrespect the man. And these two guys knew each other. I mean, and Nick mentioned that. He said he respected Maclin because, of course, they worked for the same company, and they both left that same company. So, man, this was really, really some great stuff. This promo went on for about 15 minutes or a little more probably, and it was a hell of a way to start. And Jeff, some of the little notes and stuff that I had about this, and one of the things I love to hear from Nick was the fact that he came out and said how much respect he has for the people in the locker room. And he said there is no way he is going to demand a title match because he hasn't earned it. Now, right. A lot of times you just don't see that. If there's a new big name in the company, right? And let's use the most recent example, right? When CM Punk came to WWE, now he didn't demand a title shot, but he kind of got put right into a feud with the guy who has the title. Or at least it looks like it was going to go that way, but unfortunately we'll get to that, and now it won't. But, so I really like that, that he's going to earn his keep. He's not just going to say, hey, I want that title shot right away because of my name. He's going to earn it. And then I also like the comment that he made about this is not, we're forgetting about Dolph Ziggler. This is Nick Nemeth. That I am going to win this title with at some point in time. Love that as a TNA fan. Sometimes, like I said, when these wrestlers change companies and things, especially a big name like him, they don't do this kind of thing. And I really love to hear that. And Jeff Maclin and Nick Nemeth, it's going to be fire. I don't know what kind of match they're going to have. We could see almost anything. We could see multiple matches with them. We could see a Monsters Ball match with them. Maclin has bled all over the place before. So this feud, though, what a heck of a way to start for TNA with these two men going at it.
Yeah, and I think it says a couple things, but, like you mentioned, him saying, he respects everyone in the locker room. He's going to earn it, that kind of thing. That really shows. I mean, he could walk in there and just be like, you know what? I've been there, done that, but he doesn't seem that way. And I love that fact. But this says a lot about Maclin. I think giving Maclin this type of program against a guy like this who is well known, has a name, has been in the business for a long time, I think that this is a good thing for Maclin too. And if you're a fan of Maclin, if you're like, man, I wish he had held on to the belt a little bit longer, you might get that chance to see it. You might be able to see him this year involved in some pretty marquee matchups and programs. So yeah, this was great. But I mean, the whole episode was great, and this week is probably going to be just as good, if not better. And just going to throw this out there: if you are a fan of awards and everything at the end of the year, I have a match that you need to watch that has already entered its way into the match of the year contenders, and that's Josh Alexander, Will Ospreay 2. That match was just just crazy. Just
mind-blowing match.
Yeah, it was
mind-blowing match. When you get a sequel to a big match, right? A lot of times sequels in wrestling, as they sometimes do in movies, kind of stink. Hogan and Andre, they did do a Hogan and Andre 2, and it was not good. Now at that point, circumstance, very different. Andre was not feeling well and things like that. But yeah, sometimes they'll do that to try to grab you, right? They do so well with the original that they want to grab you. Horror films do it all the time. Let's do a sequel because the first one, man, was awesome. We got so many people come out to the, and then so many times those sequels are a letdown. This one topped the first. And that is something you do not see happen. And even in wrestling, you get a ton of rematches in the wrestling business. This one was better than the last one. And the last one, everybody was saying could have been match of the year. There is no doubt in my mind. I didn't see I didn't see Mr. M's ratings on it or anything like that. I don't know what the star ratings were or any of that stuff. You guys could tell me. But for me, that's a 5-star match. I didn't see anything bad about that. The way they did it, the way it ended, the false finishes, just everything. Mind-blowing match. And then, oh my God, Scott D'Amore comes out after that match. That poor guy probably couldn't speak for a week after that because he just let it all. Like it was beautiful, man. He came in the ring and just every emotion that he felt just came out, and he didn't give a damn what he was saying out there. He just poured his heart out, and that had to feel good for all those wrestlers that were in the back, all the people that have come out to this and become part of TNA. Had to be just like there's the boss, and he's out there, saying how special this is to him, and how that match was, and one of the best matches he's ever witnessed in his entire wrestling career, which goes back quite a ways. But oh my God, just give me Josh and Ospreay every day of the week, and I'd be a happy man. I don't care how many times I see those guys wrestle, and I know it probably may not happen. Who knows? It may not happen again. It may not happen for years down the road. But oh my gosh, talk about two men at the top of the game. One of them now headed to AEW, but Josh. Oh my gosh, what a journey for that man. And he is without a doubt. You can say top 5. You can, you can say top 3, I think, for Josh Alexander in the wrestling world right now. He is that good. He takes on everyone, man. He doesn't care. He takes on all comers. And what a match that was, Jeff. Yeah, spectacular. We're on the edge of our seats again, and we're just like, oh my, I couldn't believe it. I'm sitting there watching like it's just everything. You're like, it's over. Nope, it's over. Yeah, nope, it was so good. And such a great ending to that show. And for people who came out to see it, because it was the first show that they had, TNA Impact, Jeff, I think they, in fact, I'm sure they've won over some fans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I feel pretty safe in that assumption that they have gained some new fans, and you have matches like that. I mean, you're gonna have to attract some new fans, and hopefully, I'm gonna throw this challenge out to everyone that watches TNA and hangs out with us, even if you don't get to hang out with us live and you check out the videos after the fact. Pick a match every week that you really like, that you really enjoyed. See if you can get, a picture of the match, take a picture of the match or whatever, and then just post, tweet, wherever you are on social media, but share what you liked about that match and tag the wrestlers in it. I say do that because honestly, that's how we're going to get more people to watch. Mm-hmm. We've got to let people know that TNA wrestling is doing some great stuff. Yep. And more people need to see it. And the more people talk about it, the more people get interested. And hey, if they give it a shot, I feel like they'll be hooked right from the beginning. So yeah, kudos to TNA. Just great stuff.
And Jeff, it looks as if like some of the question marks we had coming out of the pay-per-view was, some of these people that were with them, are they signed with them? I don't know. We saw Grizzled Young Vets again there. We saw Top Dollar. His name escapes me right now.
AJ Francis.
Yeah, we saw him again, right? We saw that continuing. We saw Joe Hendry beat up the rapper backstage.
DJ Who Kid.
he gave it a whoo kid afterwards when he threw him in the dumpster. So it looks as if they're going to continue storyline. So if that's the case, then if they're temporary, I kind of wouldn't think they'd be continuing storylines. Maybe people say, well, they might have just been there for Vegas, which okay, I could guess that they may have been, but I don't. Why would they do storylines that are going to continue after Vegas? So, kind of only think they wouldn't do them for a couple weeks. So I don't know. It kind of seems to me like they may be staying there for a while. Now, we don't know the contracts or anything like that or the details, but hey, it looks like they're staying. And that both big signings for them. And if that's the case, but yeah, so much to like. We got backstage promos. And like I said, look at this week. We got a rematch of the Women's Championship, the Knockouts Championship this week, which could very well be. We don't know. We haven't heard, but it looks like it could be Trinity's last match in Impact Wrestling. That's an attraction alone for everything that she's done for the company against Jordynne Grace. And it just keeps going and going. And they're taping, I think, this weekend in Florida, Orlando. I believe they're in for this weekend. So, all I'll say, guys, is enjoy the ride. Don't spoil it. Just, I get it. A lot of people don't like the fact that they tape things, but that's just how it is. But don't spoil it for yourself. Be surprised when it comes to the Thursday nights. Don't look it up. Don't spoil it. And be surprised when it comes out, because it's just so much more enjoyable when you do. So, man, what a start, Jeff, to TNA. Yeah. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, Jacob Sammy bringing up another point here. The Kaz heel turn.
Very surprising.
Hey, I mean, that where is he going to end up in a group, or is he going to kind of be the lone wolf? I mean, we'll have to see, but I feel like I want to see where that goes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, great shout, Jacob. Tazzy talking about the psychology.
Yep.
Shocker. Hey. The psychology in that match and storyline in the ring was insane. The Josh match was just absolutely nuts. And then just the two of them. And I also loved, and you saw it at the very end if you were paying attention. I went back and watched it again. The way that Will Ospreay took that all in. When he was done and the match was over, he kind of just sat. If you watched him, he just kind of sat in the corner and he was just kind of looking around at everything like that. And I'm sure that, when you have a young kid who grew up watching that promotion and then he gets his dream and he gets to wrestle in the first ever episode of that promotion as it comes back. And I'm sure he is rooting for them to do well. And just him to kind of take everything in was really cool. And, like I said, he's signed to a new company. He could have said to them, nah, I'm good. I'm not doing this. I'm good. But he didn't. And so that shows me something. And obviously, he's got a very bright future ahead of him, and really anxious to see what he does in AEW, because he just makes matches better. I don't care who he wrestles. He just makes matches better. So what an exciting start and an exciting show. Heather says, anyone look at the roster page? They've already listed Nick Nemeth and Ash, but they haven't taken off Heath and Joe Doring. I want to know if Joe is okay. Yeah, we really wish we would hear some news about that. I agree. They don't like to release health news about wrestlers, and I understand why. It's family business. It's their business, and unless they really want it out there, our grandparents kind of always told us no news is good news. So I like to try to think about it that way. We're not hearing anything bad because bad news ends up getting out, unfortunately. And so, yeah, but I hear you. I wish they would kind of give us a hint or a clue. Hey, who knows? Maybe he'll be well enough at some point to even make an appearance. Maybe he'll come back at Slammiversary, just as an appearance or something like that. And we can all have a, wonderful moment just to see him back. So we need a DJ war. DJ Who Kid versus DJ Too Large. Some newcomer versus one of the greats. Did you see Killer Kelly and Masha backstage? That's interesting to me. That's really imagine if we have that matchup. I'm down with that. I think that would be a great match. I really do. All right, Jeff, let's move on to the next topic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we've got to acknowledge too that Pete Dunne is officially back.
Yes. Yeah, yep. Pete Dunne is, oh, I know. How great is it that name is changed?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just that backstage little thing that they had on there was really good. I'm glad. Pete Dunne's tremendous. Tazzy is in the chat. Tazzy, knows that one NXT watch along we did with Tazzy that one time when he's just bending fingers and stuff. He's awesome. So and I'm glad that's a character change. Definitely needed to be done.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good for him because he's tremendous. This is not tremendous though.
This is not at all, unfortunately. So yeah, the news was out there. Seth, during the match with Jinder, had suffered an injury. They kept it quiet for a few days. We didn't really hear anything until a day or so ago, and it came out that Seth not only injured his knee, but it is a torn ACL, MCL, which is about the worst kind of injury a wrestler can have because that shelves them for a year, if not more. Depending on the rehab and stuff like that. So very, very devastating news for a guy who has just given everything he's had, his heart and soul to the company. And look, hello, John G, and anyone who's joined. It's just it just sucks. There's no other good way to describe it. It just sucks. There are people already out there bitching, oh, he wrestled too much. He did too much work. He shouldn't have been doing all that work like that, in and out and in and out. Listen, he wanted to do that. This is what he wanted to do. He called himself the fighting champion from the start. He knew that Roman was, like we say every week almost on this program, an attraction. He's not going to be out there every single week. He's not going to be on TV every single week. So Seth took it upon himself. And listen, this is why he won that title. He's going to be on TV every week. He's going to accept challenges even on Raw, and he's going to wrestle at every single pay-per-view. He's going to put that title on the line at every pay-per-view. This is just what it was. Not MC or MCL. It's still bad. It's still bad. If you tear both of them, it's worse. But an MCL is still bad. So, but listen, it sucks for many reasons. It sucks for Seth because this is what he loves to do. And Seth is getting a little older, and when you get a little older, your career starts to, you look at it from a length standpoint and it starts to kind of get in your head a little bit. Like, how much time am I going to have left to be doing this stuff? He's got a family, he's got a daughter, and, things start to go through your head a little bit. How much time, do I have left with this? And also, not to mention, you had a feud waiting for him with CM Punk. And now that gets thrown into upheaval. Obviously, we're going to find out on Raw tomorrow night as to what's going to happen. But I fully expect that the championship is going to be put up for grabs somehow. I don't know exactly how they're going to do it this close to the Rumble. But maybe a tournament of some kind that will start maybe after the Rumble and maybe end up at Elimination Chamber in Perth, which would, I guess, make some sense. But then, what happens to the person who wins the men's Rumble? They can't really go after that title, so they have to go after Roman. So it's really going to switch a lot of things around, I think, unless they have something, with the Rumble where, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how they could do this, but it is what it is, and injuries do happen. We see it all the time. Wrestling is a dangerous sport, and it's just a shame when we talked about this, Jeff, with Impact last year when they lost Josh and when they lost Mickey. They lost their two champions. When you lose a champion, it's tough. It's tough, and especially Seth, who was on Raw every single solitary week, coming out and getting the fans into it. So not only is he a champion, but he's also one of their most popular superstars, coming out with the fans singing and all that. They're going to miss that. They are going to miss that on Monday Night Raw. And I don't think it's any secret, Jeff, either, that this week they've already advertised the confrontation between Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. So maybe they're already going in a different direction with that, and it might be CM Punk and Cody. So just sad news, Jeff, and it just sucks. And we have more of these to talk about. We actually have 3, which really sucks. But it sucks for Seth. It sucks for the WWE. It sucks for Raw. And it sucks for us as fans. All we can really say is get well soon and hope he has a speedy recovery.
Yep. This sucks. This is for a guy like Seth who has done so well over the last several years. And really, I know a lot of people give him his credit, but I don't think people understand just how good he is. To kind of go from one character that was doing well and then kind of transition it to what he's doing now. And you think about the programs he's been in, the promos, the matches. I mean, he's phenomenal. So it sucks that we're not going to get to see him have that moment that we were hoping. I mean, maybe I saw something out there saying maybe he'd be ready because it's, not an ACL, that maybe he'd be ready by Mania time. Who knows? But it just sucks because I feel like we were going to get something at Mania that was going to be phenomenal with him involved. And hopefully he doesn't have to miss another Mania because of an injury. I hope that's not the case, but I just wish him well and hope that he has a speedy recovery. And I've seen some people out there talking about what about Priest. Here, I'm going to throw this out there in terms of what they could do. Now, I don't know this may have been the only time or the last time. I'm not sure, but Ric Flair back in '92, I believe, entered the Rumble. The championship was on the line, and by him winning the Rumble, he won the championship. Now, I know James Grant, I believe, said this in the chat that maybe you could have the winner of the Rumble win the title, which wouldn't be half bad. But here's what I'm thinking. What if, to just throw a complete just chaos into this, what if at the end of the Rumble, Damian Priest cashes in? So now you've got Damian Priest, and then you've got the winner of the Rumble. What do you do with them? What do they do? So I think there are some ways that they can be creative, but I do think they're starting to pivot already because we're seeing more of the Punk and Cody stuff. So I think they probably wanted to hold that for a little bit longer, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do in terms of making these things work.
I mean, I'd be interested to see. It's an interesting thought, and I saw Heather's comment about that in the chat. Who would you put? So then, if Priest would end up with the title after the Rumble, then obviously the Rumble winner could then choose between Roman or Priest. So I guess it's interesting. I mean, here's a question I'd have. If Cody won the Rumble again, obviously he'd go after Roman. So who then do you have go after Damian Priest? That's the question. Because Cody's got animosity there. He's been fighting Judgment Day off for the good portion of the last 6-7 months. Punk wouldn't make sense. There's really no storyline there. I mean, you could start one, but you're going to have 2 months to do it. And then who else do you have? Who would you have? Obviously, he's a heel. Who would you have go after him? That's the thing. And then I guess you could reverse it around and maybe Cody could go after him. But then I know a lot of people are going to kind of feel ripped off if they don't get the rematch with Roman between Cody and him. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought. but I think it may pose some storyline problems because a lot of these storylines go on for months and months and months leading up to the Rumble and then leading into WrestleMania. So R-Truth, says Aaron. Listen, as much as I would love to see that, and R-Truth would get a title shot, I'd be all over it. I would be all over that if they put a belt on R-Truth. I'd be the first one screaming and yelling. And Jeff would be too. That would be phenomenal. I am totally 100% down with that. But yeah, I guess maybe, and Deanna saying I feel bad for Priest being a placeholder. I guess maybe sometimes what injuries do is open up opportunity. Yeah. They probably really didn't know what to do with Damian Priest. And I think maybe where they were headed with that is I think maybe, and I read this somewhere, someone mentioned this, so this definitely isn't my original thought, but I think maybe they might have had with this whole thing with R-Truth, I think maybe he would have cost him his briefcase. I think that's maybe where they were going with that. And R-Truth would have cost him his briefcase, and he would have cashed in, and R-Truth would have done something to prevent him from winning the match. And then he loses the briefcase. I think that's maybe where they were going with it. And if that were the case, then he was never really going to get a shot anyway, which is unfortunate because a lot of times these people that do win the Rumble, things like that tend to happen. I don't know why it is. I don't know whether it's because they're writing people into the Rumble and then they think, oh, this would make a good story and make, have him become champion and so on. But so many times they end up not doing that. And so I think Damian was a little backed into a wall. And I think that's the reason why they brought R-Truth in, was to possibly get, have him lose that briefcase because of interference. So I don't know. I really don't know. It's interesting. It's going to make for some interesting TV tomorrow on Raw because we just don't know what's going to happen. All I do know is he's going to have to vacate the title. There's no doubt. I think someone mentioned did someone mention earlier in the chat that Priest comes? Yeah, I think someone mentioned that Priest comes out and while Seth is vacating, and he comes out and cashes in on Seth when he's injured, which he technically could do. There's nothing that's saying he can't. So, and then, then he would have the title and then you can kind of work it up a little bit more. At least you'll have a couple months. So I don't know. It's really interesting stuff now to see what happens, but ultimately it's sad for Seth that he has done what he's done, gone through all this. And listen, the last thing these guys want to miss if they have to is a WrestleMania. And that's what the sad part about it is. You only get so many opportunities to be on the highlight, be in the main event of a WrestleMania. And this is one that he definitely would have had. And now it's gone because of an injury. So that sucks. And again, like Jeff said, I'll just reiterate, just hope he recovers soon. Medical stuff has become a phenomenon lately. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers tore MCL and ACL, I believe, unless I'm wrong. But he was almost able to practice at the end of the football season. Did he tear both?
He tore his Achilles.
Okay, I'm sorry. Achilles. Yeah, but even still.
It used to be a year recovery time. But
and he was almost able to play. Like he was on the practice field practicing before. If they would have made the playoffs, he said he was playing. Mm-hmm. So medical stuff has come a long way. And, you never know. Maybe that kind of injury now, if it's just an MCL, maybe he's only out for months. Like Jeff said, maybe it's not a year anymore. Maybe it's not, 6-8 months. Maybe it's different now. And so who knows? We'll see. In any case, again, like I said, Seth, get better. Best wishes to you and just hope for that speedy recovery going forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do we got next, Jeff? More bad news, I think, unfortunately.
No, not.
We're skipping the bad. Good.
I spaced out the bad. I spaced out the bad news.
Good.
We'll go to some rather fun and exciting and interesting news right now, and just ask the question: is this the time for Karrion Kross to break out on the main roster? Do you think that what he's doing now is going to contribute to him breaking out?
I think so. I love this for him. A faction may have just been the thing that he needed. He comes across as very good as like a leader of a faction, and I think that it was a great idea they thought up here. And boy, did they put him up with some powerful dudes. And the fact that he's going after Bobby and the Street Profits, I kind of like that too, because they didn't really know where Bobby and the Street Profits were going. They were kind of going a little heel with them for a little bit. Now, obviously, it looks like that's not going to be the case. And I like that for a couple of reasons, because the Street Profits were a very, very liked team. And I think they're better as faces. I do. And Bobby, too. Bobby can do that. He can do both so well. He's been a face. He's been a heel. He can do both very well, but I love this for Cross. I'm excited as a fan of Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, whatever. I think he's fantastic, and I want to see more. And I love that you're going to see him pulling off that dirty heel stuff, though. Just be prepared. Now, he was a heel before, but you're going to see him pulling off that stuff where a lot of times it kind of looks like he's in a match, but AOP is going to do a lot of his dirty work. You're not going to see him probably get his hands dirty all that much. He'll kind of come in and maybe take the final shot, get some shots in. But this is an interesting match. If I'm guessing we're going to get this at the Rumble, I would imagine they'll announce that we're going to get those three versus these three at the Royal Rumble. So whatever it is, I'm just glad Kross is involved. Like I said, I'm a big fan, and I love what these guys are doing. Ellering is very creepy and always was. Scarlett, of course, is there, but man, Bobby and the Profits are going to have a tough time. This is a lot of people to overcome here, and with Ellering and Scarlett outside the ring, there's always that chance that they're going to interfere somehow. So I like this. I think this is great. I told you before, I love factions. And if this is going to be a year of the factions, I'm all in. But I love this for Kross, and I'm really, really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I think that this is an opportunity for him to really break out as a star on the main roster. I'm so glad that it seems like he's hitting that groove now that people were kind of waiting on, through no fault of his own, I'll say. We remember when he first came up from NXT and the attire, and people were roasting him about that and joking about the attire and all of that, and we were wondering where's Scarlett, and there were some missteps with his booking and how they presented him, but I'm glad that he's this dominant force right now, and going up against Bobby and the Profits, they're going to be in trouble. So, unless they have some additional people that can join them, they're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So yeah, I'm digging this though with Kross.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is cool. We're seeing, like I said, maybe 2024 might be a faction year, and I'm down. Wrestling's really good when there's factions, because you don't necessarily have to have all of them involved all of the time. So it may come down to Kross versus Lashley, but even if it does, Kross has backup. So that's a key. He's always going to have backup out there where it's just going to be. And I love how they did that too, because not many people may remember Kross lost that match to Bobby. And it was one of the last times we saw him in a ring for a little bit. He was gone for a little bit after that. And so a lot of people were wondering, well, geez, what the heck is going on here? Kross is losing. He's losing a lot of his matches. People might use the B word, which I can't stand. But they were just coming up with something else. And they were coming up with a different storyline, and I love this. I think this is awesome. He's going to do really well at this. The leader of a faction, and so you could as the story goes, you can have something happen and then end up happening between him and AOP, where they get sick of him using them and stuff like that, and all that stuff that happens inside of the faction. So this is great, and I'm happy for Kross too. I agree with you. I think it's good stuff. Kross was in the groove the first time around until Vinnie Mac made him the Pulp Fiction gimp.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. I mean, there was nothing wrong with what he did in NXT, so why change it?
Agreed. He's still his entrance, Jeff, is still one of the best entrances I've ever seen. One of the best I've ever seen. That entrance with Scarlett coming out with the, oh my God. And then the NXT one. I'm not talking about the WWE version. I'm talking about the NXT version. One of the best entrances I've ever seen. And I want to see Cross get his due, and I think he deserves it. So
I want to see that happen at WrestleMania is what I want to see.
Yes. Oh my God, the entrance at WrestleMania. Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Where they can go all out with the pyro and the special effects and everything like that. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. What is next, Jeff?
All right. So up next, this is a bit of a surprise, and I'm trying to think of how to equate it to WWE. Who would this be akin to losing in WWE? But Okada's New Japan contract is ending this month, Joe.
We heard this during TNA, actually.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because he's on TNA, yes, next week.
Yep.
I think. He's wrestling with the Motor City Machine Guns.
He is.
Which is interesting to me. And this is big. New Japan is losing Ospreay. And now this man's contract with them is ending too. That is true. If both of them leave, huge losses for New Japan. But yeah, this is obviously everything out there, right? Whenever something like this happens, everything out there is like WWE. I read an article today. I think it was Mr. Was it our buddy Mr. M? I think it might have been Mr. M. But he was saying something about AEW is scrambling. Here's the word scrambling to try to get him. WWE is thinking about getting him. No mention made of anyone else. And I take some offense to that. There's more people out there now. Give TNA a little respect. He's wrestling for their promotion right now, as Will Ospreay does. I can't stand that nobody can ever think that he could end up going to TNA. And to be honest, Ospreay is going to, like I said, is going to be in AEW, right? And WWE is kind of stacked where they are. I don't know that either one of those necessarily needs Okada. They'd love to have him because he's tremendous, but both of them are kind of stacked. I don't know. I'm sure they'd find a place to put him, but I don't want him just to see him pick a place to go. That's just gonna. I don't know. He's just another great athlete that they have there. I don't know, but this was a little surprising to me when I heard it during TNA. And Okada leaving is making my brain hurt. Yeah, it really is one of those things. Like, I just didn't see it coming. And I don't know. Tony Khan, chuck bucket. He's good at chucking buckets. Yeah. We'll see. It's not always about money, Barry. I say that all the time. It's not always about money. And you can throw buckets of money at someone. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to end up going there. So, and then, you wonder, if he does go there, now you have Ospreay. Now you have Okada. Where, again, I'll say this. When you start throwing free agents into a company just to have them, where do all the toys get to be shown? Where do the new toys get to be shown? Sometimes you just get to a point where you don't have enough time. I've said this before. So, and that goes for WWE too. So I don't know. Whoever gets him, he's tremendous. He's going to be an asset wherever he goes. But don't count TNA out so fast. James said that TNA announced Okada showing up next week, which is 30 minutes after New Japan announced he was. Yeah, exactly. So don't count out. Oh, I know, Swag fan. I know. Everybody thinks that TNA has no money, which makes me laugh. Because if you would ever look up the value of Anthem, they're one of the biggest companies in the United States. I love that. Oh, they don't have any money. They can't get anybody. That's stupid. It's a misnomer, and it's really dumb. And if anybody says that, they really need to open up a book and type in Anthem on the internet, or well, not a book. Nobody reads those anymore. But type Anthem in on the internet and look to see what the earnings are, and you'll find out how much money they make. But yeah, Jeff, I don't know. This was kind of a shocker a little bit to me, and I really don't know. I mean, this doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to re-sign. His contract is up, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they won't make him an offer to stay there. But it's I don't know. It's interesting, Jeff. I don't know where I'm not going to speculate about where he would go because we don't know yet what's going to go down. But a name as big as this, you would think the big wigs would get into a bidding war.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bidding war. There's always going to be going forward especially when there's a huge free agent like this. And I think again, people have been sleeping on TNA Impact for a long time. Maybe one of these days they'll wake up because they can make offers. Do they have as much money as WWE and AEW? Maybe not. They have more eyes. Those other two companies do. But maybe Anthem, says, "Hey, this is a good opportunity for us. Let's back TNA and do whatever we can to get this person here." I mean, it could happen.
Yep.
And if you read some of the reports from like Osprey, and I know people may not want to hear this, but even CM Punk, they made offers to these people.
Yeah, they did.
And they weren't shabby offers. So
Yep.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah. I mean, Punk wouldn't have even given them the second thought if they weren't throwing him some pretty good cash. He wouldn't have even if they were going to say we're going to give you this much. He would have looked at them like, yeah no. So yeah, I agree. We'll have to see. This is something to keep your eyes on and something to watch for down the road and see what's going to happen. We'll find out soon. It's only the end of this month, yeah. So we only have 10 more days left to find out exactly what's going to happen if he does become a free agent. And the other thing to consider, and who did I just see in the comments that brought up somebody mentioned, I think it was Heather. Yeah. I'm not convinced they'll use him as well as they think. You're talking about AEW, but somebody mentioned about his family, and maybe, oh yeah. Okay. They mentioned the limited schedule. Yeah, mentioned the limited schedule. Like if he had a lighter schedule with TNA, that he could see his wife, he could see his family. It might be important. That might be important. It may not just end up shipping his family over to the United States and things like that. Sometimes they don't like to do that. So yeah, we'll see. But it's a huge name. It's another huge free agent. And it seems like we're getting a lot of that this year too. So again, this is one to watch and put a pin in. Until then, the dirt sheets will be all over it. They'll be saying something every single day, something different. He's going here, he's going there. You're going to see that everywhere until we find out exactly what's going to happen with him. So, but in any case, big talent. And hey, segue, come out on Thursday and see him on TNA Impact because that's going to be an amazing match. Him with the guns, that's going to be awesome. So come out and check it out, and you'll get to see Okada on TNA. So,
all right.
What's next, Jeff? I think, unfortunately, we go back to the downside.
Yeah, we got a couple bad news topics to cover, but here's the first. Cora Jade suffered a knee injury.
This really sucks for her. Anytime you have, it sucks for anybody, right? Anybody. But someone who is up and coming in the business, and you kind of know that they are going places, that they could end up, being at the top of the mountain in their current promotion, and they get injured. It just sucks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It just sucks. You see, a lot of times when you see the pictures and stuff being taken of the wrestlers, when this happens, they're crying in the ring. Well, it's genuine emotion. It's the most disappointing thing that you could feel, knowing that you're going to have to work so hard just to get yourself back, and probably double as much, because to get over the injury that you had, to get back into the ring. She is so popular with so many people, absolutely love her, and it just sucks. It's just, there is no good timing for any kind of injuries or anything like that to happen. And this is just another one where, it's just a shame, Jeff, that, she's coming to, the point where she was just getting, up that ladder and up that ladder, and then now, it's you got to start all over again. And it sucks.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, she was at a point where she was really, really starting to gain some heat and some momentum. And man, I mean, it stinks. You hate it. Again, sending her well wishes and hope she has a speedy recovery as well. But it's tough to see. And I mean, she, again, she was really making some noise on that roster, and there's a lot of talent on that roster. So that says a lot about her.
Yep. Yeah. And I know that Shawn Michaels spoke very highly of her in some interviews and stuff that he's done. And who knows, it might have been her time. And it's just unfortunate when these things happen. It's not fair. And I'm sure, a lot of that goes through her mind when it happens, and sitting there thinking that this just isn't fair. And then when they do make it back, and I'm sure she will, and when she does, she's going to be, just as good or better than she was. But when you do, you missed all that time. You got to start over. And, in wrestling, that's tough, because they don't save your spot. They can't. They move on without you. And when you come back, you gotta fight all the way back up the ladder again. So it takes a lot. And that's why, we say this a lot, but you really need to respect these people, because some of them could just say, screw this. I'm not doing this anymore. This isn't worth it. I now I got to go through all this again just to get back into where I was before. And then, they're dedicated. They're very courageous, and they do this stuff, and the training and the working out and the rehab and everything like that every single day, from the time that happened until the time they get back to the ring. It is grueling. It is tough. And a lot of people wouldn't do it. Especially to get back to a wrestling ring. So, yeah, wish her the best. That's all we can really say. And like Jeff said, best to a speedy recovery. Hope she gets well. Hope she gets healed up quickly, and we see her back soon. Two of them, and unfortunately, we're not done. We've got another one as well. This is a lot. This is a lot. I love KiLynn King. I absolutely love KiLynn King. She had been a force in Impact this past year. She was voted. She won an award, right?
One to watch for.
One to watch for. That's pretty amazing. She was mostly in a faction for most of the year. But in a tag team, not a faction. She's mostly in a tag team, but she was tag team champion for a good while. And she really had some matches with some bigger names that were in Impact. So another just a shame. I think she's tremendous. I got to shout out to her too, because I did wish I put it out on our insiders, and we wishing her a speedy recovery and stuff like we said on here. And she did retweet it, which is very kind of her. She's done that with a lot of our posts. So gotta love anybody that does that and takes the time to do that when they really don't have to. There's no reason for them to have to do it with anyone. So thanking her obviously for that. But yeah, I'm going to miss her. And I think the Knockouts division is going to miss her as well. And think about it. If Trinity's gone, like is being rumored, and now they lose KiLynn, that's a couple of big hits to their Knockouts division. They've got good ones, and they've got some new people, obviously, as well, that are going to be there. But it's two big stalwarts that were there with them this entire last year that really kind of led the Knockouts division to where they went. And KiLynn, Jeff, has a very bright future in this company. She's just very unique. She's very tall. She's very, very strong, and I think very unique. And I could have seen her, Jeff, and I don't think they would have given her that award without knowing maybe there was a little something on the horizon for her that wasn't just tag team gold, but maybe it was Win Knockouts title gold. And again, like I said, that sucks because a lot of times these plans in advance. The storylines are done in advance, and they know a lot of this stuff is coming. And now that is doubly upsetting because if you know that, hey, we're going with you. You're going to run for this title this year, and maybe you're going to get it. And then now she knows that, and now she can't be there. And so, yeah, it's just more crappy news. 3 in 1 week, which is just shitty. That's the only way.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's just terrible, and you hate to hear about injuries. I mean, I know people say yes, it's a part of the business. Yeah, it is, but you hate it when people are really in that groove and finding their way and making a difference and really bringing some good stuff. So yeah, I hate this for her, and I hope that she gets well soon. And yeah, I mean, it sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah, there's not much more to say. I mean, when three of this kind of thing happens in a week, it's a lot, and it just kind of sucks. But again, all we can say is to all 3 of them, wish them the best with the rehab and with everything. Speedy recovery. Hopefully, the injuries heal quicker, and they get back to exactly where they were before. And sometimes, as fans, when we lose someone to an injury, the coming back part of it is amazing. Yeah. When they show up, when we kind of least expect them to. Now, obviously Cody's was different because Cody's was very, very public, and we would see, what he was doing and his rehabbing and stuff like that. It was making it very public. So we kind of knew when he was coming back. But sometimes when they do that kind of little sneaky return and you're not expecting it, they just show up. It's a really cool moment. So I'm sure we'll get that for all 3 of these guys that we talked about. And let's hope that this week, let's not have any big injuries. Yeah. let's not have that and not have to talk about it again on our next show. So anyway, let's move ahead. And yeah, poor Cora, my favorite of NXT, torn ACL. It's more of a bow for her. I hate to say it, but there is so much talent in the NXT women's division. Tazzy says completely sucks for Cora considering she just came back from injury. Add to the fact that this recent injury happened right before her birthday. Let's see. The KiLynn news broke my heart. Come back strong, girl, says Bonus Baby. I don't want to caught in AEW. It would be boring, and I don't want Swerve to lose his spot. Deanna's gone as well. Yep, that's right. Yeah. Deanna, Trinity, now KiLynn. It's a lot. It's a lot. You have Zaya Brookside, of course, that came in, so she's going to be a new face. It's going to be there, and they have others. Obviously, Giselle Shaw looks very good this year. Tasha Steeles and others. They step up and take their spots, and that's how that's usually how it goes. Get well and a speedy recovery for KiLynn. KiLynn's been around for years. Oh yeah, no, she was, and happens in TNA than this. Triple H 2002 WWE back. Crazy how King was just slated to wrestle in Chicago next month, and this news breaks. Get well soon, KiLynn King, says Andrew. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got one more piece of news.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Hook versus Samoa Joe main evented Dynamite, and not sure how many people got to see it, but I enjoyed this match.
Well, Jeff, you know what? I'm glad you did that because go right ahead. I did not. So I'm going to let you start. You tell the folks about it. All I know is that there was some kind of thing that happened on Busted Open where Bully didn't like the ending, but I'm going to let you talk about it because I did not see the match.
Yeah, I mean, if we're all being honest, we can say that we didn't expect Hook to beat Samoa Joe. I think we're all pretty safe in saying that none of us really thought that Hook was going to beat him. But I will say this: they did a good job with the promo that they put out on social media. Um, I really enjoyed that. You had Hook, eating a slice and throwing the rest of it on the ground, and he's like, but who the f am I? I really like how they use that Twitter thing to kind of play into it. So I really like what they did with that. I enjoyed the match because it was just honestly it was about Hook just getting the crap kicked out of him and continuing to come back and not giving up, no quit, just keep pushing forward. And the end, I get some people didn't like it maybe because um, you know, Joe ended up um submitting him. But Hook didn't tap. He just passed out. So it was. I know some people didn't like that, but I I enjoy it, and I think that this is a good thing for Hook going forward. I just hope they continue to capitalize on the momentum that they're going to get with this match. But I think this is going to be really good, um, really good for him going forward, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more later on in the show.
This came from 411 Mania. So before I quote them, I want to make sure I give them credit. This is what Bully was saying, I guess. I was not a fan of how easily Hook was able to get up after the match. Get out of the ring on his own, walk up the ramp, walk back down the ramp, no help, no nothing. On one hand, we have Joe hitting Hook with everything but the kitchen sink. The kid got choked out, and I don't know how many other guys who get choked out, and then after they get choked out, they're totally fine and walking up the ramp and down the ramp. No assistance. I would have liked to have seen Hook get helped out. Last night was very heavy-handed on Hook. I felt Taz was very heavy-handed on Hook on commentary early in the match, almost like I'm trying to get my kid over. So that was something that Bully said. I guess I'm busted open. So I'll have to check it out. I like I said, I didn't get to see it. I was busy doing other things on Wednesday night, and I didn't get to watch really any of it at all. But I will. I'll definitely have to check it out. I know Hook is very over.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Very, very, very popular with the fans. So we don't know at this moment or at this point who he's still not on TNA's on AEW's roster, and that's MJF. So we kind of don't know. 2024 is the year of his contract being up, so we don't know what's going on with him. And obviously, he was the number one babyface there. Hook, I'm sure, could fill that role if something did happen to MJF. I don't think it will, but if he just if he takes an offer from someone else, doesn't go back there, which I don't see happening. But he's very over with the crowd. A lot of people love this guy. Very unique. He's kind of like a what do I compare him to? He's almost kind of like a young James Dean of wrestling, I think. And people are going to be looking at me like, who the hell is James Dean? But he's kind of that cool, kind of nonchalant guy that nothing bothers him, and stuff like that. But and I gotta say, and I'm, I think he's over with the ladies. I think he's, he's kind of a handsome dude. So, and he got the big poofy hair and everything like that too. So, yeah, I guess it's good for him. He got a championship match against the top guy right now, and he showed out. He got choked out, obviously, but getting him up there and having more people see him, I think, is probably a good thing. But I'm definitely I'll definitely check out the match and see how it went and formulate my own opinion on it. I love the whole deal from top to bottom. I know how people are griping about the post-match stuff, but I loved when Jeff Hardy kept calling The Undertaker back to the ring, and this reminded me of that. I do agree with Bully Ray on that, says James. Hook had a lot of heart against Samoa Joe. Joe would be a great mentor for Hook, along with his dad, Taz. Hook has a bright future at AEW. Taz did call the match. Crazy he did not get involved. Question to you guys, how do you think they are using Edge right now? To me, Aaron and Jeff could answer that as well. I'm sure he'll have a different answer maybe than I do. To me, with Edge and really with any of the other vets that are there, I think they're probably using him the way he wants to be used. They're at the point in their career where they kind of can dictate what they want to do at what pace they want to do it. So with him there, I think he is just happy to be wrestling, happy to be involved in storylines, which obviously WWE, they flat out told him, we don't have anything for you. So I think he's just happy to be there. And I think he's just going to kind of do whatever he wants. And I think it's the same way with Christian and the other vets. So I'm thinking he's perfectly happy. Look, he would have been maybe out of wrestling at this point. WWE said they had nothing for him. He would have been done, sitting at home. I think he's pretty happy. Jeff said, I don't mind how they're using him. He's starting to have more interactions with younger talent, putting them over. Yeah, great point. And that's what a lot of them did. Sting has done it now for years there. And Edge, Christian, the Hardys, this is kind of what they're going to do now. And really what they should do. Get the younger guys over. So bonus baby talking about James Dean. I think AEW has a lot of toys they need to use wisely. Adam Edge Copeland, while winning his match, is also somewhat putting younger talent over. Yes, exactly what Jeff said. Yep. All righty. We're moving on. Yeah. We are done with the headline stuff, and we're going to get to, this is the first one of 2024. It's another first. It's another first. Everyone's favorite segment of our Sunday show is coming up next. This is the inaugural 2024 edition of the airing of grievances. Let's go.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about.
Jeff, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You go ahead, because I really don't even have a grievance this week.
Jeff puts me on the spot. All right. Oftentimes on this, we chat about the fans. We chat about the socials. This time, it's going to be a little bit different, because this time, this is coming from this comes from the fact that I really, over this past week, had an amazing time watching amazing things happen. And why I enjoyed them so much is because the things weren't spoiled for me. I'm sure they were out there, but I was able to, avoid the temptation of going out there and fact finding and looking for stuff and typing in AEW, typing in TNA, Snake Eyes on Twitter and finding all the results and all that kind of stuff. This isn't really a grievance for anyone else as much as I think it could be a grievance to look at yourself in the mirror sometimes. I've gone through this in a lot of my life, actually, where I was just a person who wanted to know things. And again, I think I mentioned this to some of you before. You might have heard this before from me, but if not, and if you're new to the channel, maybe it's something that you haven't heard. But when I was a young man, we'll get back to the book thing. Books, what are they? I read a lot. That was my fantasy world, right? Because we didn't have all this stuff on TV that you can access all the time. We had three major channels, and most of the time they had soap operas, game shows. At nighttime, you got some comedies and stuff like that. And that was pretty much about it. So we had movies. Yes, I'm not that old. And it's not chiseled into rocks. But we had movies, and, but again, when you're younger, growing up when I did, movies were kind of pricey, and the minimum wage wasn't very high, so we couldn't get to see a lot of movies and stuff like we would today, where you just have access to watch anything you want. So books would come out, and many times before films would make it to a theater, paperback books or hardcover books would be released of the actual script of the movies. So you were able to, like for me, I read the novel for Star Wars before it ever hit a theater. They would come out 2-3 months before. And that's because they would take these books, turn them into films. But so much of the stuff that was in the book would never make it to the movie because the movie would have just been too long. So things have to get cut from the original story. So many times I would do that, and I would, quote unquote, spoil myself. But for me back then, it was, I would use my imagination to think up what I was expecting to see from this. So my imagination of the character of Darth Vader looked very different than what we got on the screen. Same with Luke and all the other characters. I had I didn't know what Chewbacca was or any of that stuff when I was reading that book. There were no pictures. So, but as I got older, and we had access and stuff to, more and more, and you were able to go see movies more and more and things like that. I kept doing that because I kind of got addicted to spoiling myself ahead of time. I still would read the novels. The novels would come out, but sometimes they would come out the same day as the film. And this goes back to even when the prequels for Star Wars came out and other movies, when they came out, the books all released the same day. So I would run out to the bookstore and I'd get the novel and I would read the novel. But as I would see, as I got older, when you're young, it's like you're developing stuff inside your head. And at that point in time, your imagination just comes to life on a screen. And then once you see, like when I was 7 years old watching Star Wars, Darth Vader took my breath away. When he walked in and that first scene of him, I just sat there and my eyes were wide open and I gasped when he walked onto the screen. But when that happens when you're older, you tend to get disappointed. And when I would read those novels, there were, again, very similar to the original one, where there were scenes in there that were never put in the film. So when Phantom Menace came out, I read the book. There was this really cool scene in that book. I'm sorry, it wasn't Phantom Menace, it was Attack of the Clones, the second one. There's a really cool scene in that book that never made the film. And to this day, and that wasn't a great film in anybody's head that's a Star Wars fan. But to this day, I can remember that scene. And if that scene had made it to that movie, it would have made the whole movie better. And it would have made the story better. So in essence, what I did was I spoiled it for myself. And I did not like the movie as much, probably because I spoiled it. Because if I wouldn't have read that book, I wouldn't have known that scene existed. Probably would have been better if I did it afterwards. But I didn't. So the habit grew. Along came computers. And now you have access to stuff like 4chan. Which, by the way, if you're a spoil person and you feel the need to spoil yourself, you just go to 4chan and you can pretty much find anything. I ended up spoiling myself on Avengers Endgame. I knew exactly what was going to happen like 4 weeks before that film came out because it leaked on there. So then at that point, I'm hooked. Then the new Star Wars films came out, the three most recent ones. I knew Han Solo died almost a month and a half before. Now I'm at the point now I'm getting emails. I've found 2 guys from Australia. I don't know who they are. I don't think they I don't know if they disappeared off the face of the planet afterwards. I don't know if they were on set of Lucasfilm. I don't know if they worked for him, but they sent me a script. I was like, are you kidding me right now? And I'm thinking this is a bunch of garbage. Well, it was real. because I knew everything that happened in that film before it came out. And the thing is with spoilers, it's hard to keep them to yourself because you're so excited about it. You want to tell someone. But then, and there was a guy that I used to work with, and he was a fan of the two, and we just happened to be talking. And then I was thinking, like, oh my God, it was almost like I had this on my head. I had to say something or I was going to explode. And I came out and said, Han Solo dies. He looks at me like daggers. If looks could kill, I would have been dead. And I ruined it for him. And after I did it, I felt so bad. Because I'm like, oh my God, I just ruined this experience for him. He's going to go. Now he knows what happens. So after that, I'm like, all right, I can't do this anymore. So my whole point behind this big old story is you will enjoy things way more if you just reserve yourself from looking for stuff all the time. You just will. Take it from me. I know where as of I speak, because I've done it. And so many times I've gone into theaters disappointed because I was expecting it to be something what it was not and was never intended to be, because the books were different and stuff that were put in those books didn't make it to a film. Now what I do is I'll go see a movie and then I'll read the book. Because at that point, I'm not spoiling anything for myself, and I'll get to see some kind of cool stuff that didn't make it into the movies. Like when I was younger, I had novels for Friday the 13th films, which, by the way, are really, really expensive, and I wish I kept them. And I read those. They were amazing because they had a point of view in those books from Jason, which you never saw. Jason never spoke. I never said anything in any of those films, but in these books, you got his point of view and his perspective, which was really cool. So now I do the opposite. And with wrestling, you can find anything you want. Anything you want is out there for the taking. You can open up Twitter, you can type in a word, and it's there. But the thing is, guys, and I hope you take this to heart from a guy who's been there. I got so bad, my friends started calling me Captain Spoiler. They even made I even have like a superhero costume that they designed for me as this persona, because, and I think on that it was funny. We made up a costume. I went to a friend of mine's Halloween party, and on the costume they put scenes from films that were big, like humongous twists. The one from the Brad Pitt movie at the end. I can't remember the name of it now. Where Brad Pitt is. What is it?
7?
No, not 7. Oh, darn it. No, I'm sorry. No, it was, darn it. It had a huge twist ending where Ed Norton. Ed Norton was in it too. Ed Norton played.
Fight Club.
Fight Club has one of the biggest spoilery endings you can ever see. And that was on the back of my cape. The I See Dead People ending was on the back of my cape. Like all the major spoiler endings in all these movies. And so, but you will enjoy wrestling way better if you prevent yourself from going out and fact-finding and looking for all this stuff ahead of time. Sure, I get it. Inquiring minds want to know. Everybody wants to know. Everybody wants to know what's going on, what happened, but try to reserve it. Try to... especially like I said with TNA, because they do tape their stuff. Now, mostly wrestling is live, right? WWE is live, AEW is live, but especially for TNA, reserve your temptations to spoil, because I'm telling you, you will enjoy it all that much better when it happens, because you didn't know what was coming. And take it from me. Like I said, I've been through it. I've done it. So don't spoil stuff for yourself. It makes wrestling that much better and much more enjoyable. So not really a grievance, just kind of a tip from a guy who's ruined a lot of things for himself along the way that should have really been surprises. So that's it.
Good stuff.
That's it.
Good stuff. Yeah, I will say that I tried my absolute best to avoid all the spoilers with Saw X, and I was somewhat successful. I was mostly successful. Saw a couple things, but yeah,
Jeff, it's
yeah,
going to go. It's more than likely. It's more than likely a little bit going to go. Oh my gosh, Buffalo lost.
yeah. They missed a field goal that could have tied it up.
Oh man, Kansas City just always finds a way to do it. Every
Always.
year they just you look like they're out of it. They were terrible 3 weeks ago, and they just find ways to win. It's insane. Patrick Mahomes is insane.
Yeah. Buffalo
Well,
missed a field goal with 1:43.
oh, that's horrible, dude.
Yeah.
You gotta hate when a kicker costs you.
Oh,
That dude will be the loneliest guy on that bus if he even makes it. A lot of times kickers like that, they miss a big field goal, they're just out. You imagine all those teammates looking at him like, are you kidding me right now? You had one job. Now, granted, if you're watching the game, the wind was horrendous there.
yes.
Horrendous.
Yes.
They showed them kicking before the game, and they were sailing everywhere. So it's not super surprising. And what the coach is going to say is, we can't put ourselves in that situation. You know that it's windy. You can't put yourselves in that situation, but that's too bad. That sucks. I really kind of thought Buffalo was might end up good. Because you imagine, I would have loved to see Buffalo and Detroit. Neither one of them has ever won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'd
That would
love
have
to.
been that would have been a great matchup.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's it. No real grievance for me. Just kind of a little, kind of a little warning. But where I was going to say is, it's all going to go out the window when the Crystal Lake series gets announced. It's going to go. I'm going to look for everything and anything I could possibly find for that. And by the way, speaking of which, there is going to be a poster and a trailer for that in probably the next 2 months. It is releasing this year. We will, and I'm telling you right now, we will have a watch along on this channel for that show. We absolutely will. We've talked about doing horror stuff on the show before. We will have a watch along for that show. I am telling you right now. And I also found out that Tom Savini, the legend, who has done the Night of Living the zombie films, he did special effects for Friday the 13th, is working on this. And they're calling it Stabby behind the back stages. So it's STABBY that they refer to it as, because they don't want to give it away. But super excited about that. So, all right, let's move on, Jeff, shall we? I think we're going to go to sell or no sell. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. Little sell or no sell. For the folks that are new, this is we debate these topics, and if it's sell, that means we agree with the statement. No sell means we do not. So ready to get going, Joe?
Let's go.
All right. First up, let me make this a little bit bigger. Hook's match against Samoa Joe will elevate him in AEW, Joe. Sell or no sell?
Guys, play along in the chat. Let us know what you think. Sell it or no sell it. I think this is a pretty easy one, and I'm going with sell. Anytime.
I don't like it. I love it, love it, love it.
I love that. That's awesome. Yes, anytime a young man goes up against a veteran and it gets talked about afterwards, whether it was by Bully or Busted Open or whoever it was, but anytime a young guy gets an opportunity against the champ who has been a veteran in this sport for many, 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 many years, he is going to come out of it looking better than before he went into it. It's just how it is. You see this kind of thing happen for a lot of younger people that became champions at some point down the road. Go back and look at careers of people like Seth Rollins, people like CM Punk, people like Roman Reigns. They all at some point had some sort of shot somewhere that propelled them forward in the wrestling business. So yes, if Hook is going to be a future champion there, and I don't see why people wouldn't think he would be. Again, like I said, he's got it all. He's very popular. He's got a lot of charisma, and he's very good in the ring. And he's also got the fact that he's a second gen. He's a sibling of an ex-professional wrestler. So, yeah, for sure. you know, he has a great match against a guy like Samoa Joe. It is definitely going to propel him forward. And yeah, I maybe somewhere 5, 7, 8 years from now, when this guy might be at the top of the ladder, he'll look back and it'll be this match against Samoa Joe that propelled him forward. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I think, I think it is going to help him. I know some people are fearful that sometimes it seems as though some wrestlers gain some momentum and then it's not capitalized on. I understand that criticism. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, and I think that this will help Hook. And I think by year's end, we might be seeing him in a different, kind of in a different level. He might be up near the top of the card by the end of the year as a mainstay.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see what some people are saying here. Still talking about the kicker from Buffalo. James Grant says half sell, half no sell. Sell, says Damien. Yes, says Brandon Wayne Lewis. As long as we get the Friday 13th watch along when the show comes out, I accept the apology, but damn, wanted the Bills to win. Sell, says A. Jobson. I want to sell, but I don't trust Tony's booking. This comes from a big AEW fan in Derek. Sell, says John. Should be an easy sell, but Tony drops the ball on follow-up sometimes. Heather, thank you so much. Yes, please like the video. Sometimes we forget to do this on this show, but please subscribe to the channel if you're new, because we are seeing some new people out there. And welcome if you're here for the very first time. Please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that like button. I can't stress that enough. Hit that like button on the stream. It really, really, really helps us get noticed. So please hit that like button. And also, if you're interested and you want to come back and you want to know when we have stuff, hit the bell. Ring the bell. And that way you'll know when we have future content. So thank you. Appreciate that. Sell, I thought he was great in a losing effort. Sell, says Swag Fan. Sell, Tony Khan, do not screw this up, says Andrew. Sell, says Mr. Majestic. Sell, says Heather. Sell, says Dylan. Sell, says Deanna. So it looks like everybody's on the sell train with this. And of course, Jeff and I agree. So selling all around with this one. What do we got? Topic number 2.
All right, topic number 2. Here we go. If I can bring up the right topic number 2. There we go. All right, Chris Sabin will be TNA World Champion by the end of 2024. So no sell.
This is interesting because we all know, who the champion is. It's Moose.
Mm-hmm.
And what? This is a tough one now because we kept thinking, no, it could have been partner versus partner. Obviously, they didn't go that way. Alex Shelley lost, but now could we get Chris Sabin cashing in to face Moose? It's interesting. It's interesting because unlike his tag team partner, Shelley had some confrontations with Moose, right? Why not? I'm going to say, why not sell it? Why not? Why not have it?
I don't like it. I love it, love it, love it.
Absolutely. Why not? We haven't seen Chris Sabin take a shot at that since we've been watching. So why the hell not? When's he going to have an opportunity like this again? Where, it's almost like a revenge angle, right? Moose beat up his tag team partner. So now you kind of go, yeah, you could have had brother versus brother and that whole thing going on, but why not? Why not? Especially when we heard that Nick is not going right after the title. So in that case, who do you have right now that you could say, oh, well, I would definitely take him over Chris Sabin. I don't know. Yeah, I just like it. I like it. Yeah, I think it'd be cool. And why not listen, Jeff, they gave Alex Shelley a run with it, right? And nobody saw that coming.
Right.
Nobody saw that coming. So what's to say? We don't know how long Sabin and Shelley are going to be in wrestling. What's to say they may not want to give another TNA original that title for a little bit?
It's intriguing, right? Like it's a crazy kind of out and left field thought. But then again, when you think about it, it's really not, because it makes all the sense in the world. I mean, you've got a tag team partner trying to avenge the loss um, that was sustained by his tag team partner, and it's there's a lot of stuff that you could do with it, and especially if Chris Sabin ends up winning, then does jealousy creep in? Do we see a fracture in the team from that standpoint? So I mean I think is interesting, but I'm gonna no sell this, and the reason I'm gonna no sell it is because as long as you have guys like Steve Macklin, as long as you have people like Nick Nemeth, um, as long as you have, I mean, you still got Alex Shelley, and guess what? I've named that many people, and I haven't even mentioned Josh Alexander yet. So, I mean, it's loaded right now, which is what we had been wanting for a while. Um, who knows who else is going to factor into things going in the future. I could see Frankie Kazarian back up in that picture, but I don't think he's going to be champion by the end of the year. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him challenge for it at some point in the year. I just don't think he'll be successful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. We may see it. Maybe he will cash in, and like Jeff said, maybe he just won't. Maybe he won't win. So we could see that too. But in any case, Sabin is a tremendous, tremendous athlete and a huge part of TNA. And
Absolutely.
so would not surprise me if he is getting some good matches, some big matches at some point throughout the course of this year. So it'll be interesting to see. Let's see what people say. Mr. Majestic says sell. Heather says sell. Dylan says sell. Deanna says sell. Anyone remember Brian Pillman paying his dues to Sid Vicious in the early 90s WCW? As Oscar Wilde put it, there's only one thing worse than being talked about that's not being talked about, says Barry Monkey. RK Shuttles were saying, things that make you go, no sell, says Aaron. No sell, said Barry. No sell, says James. Sell 100%, but don't worry, other guys will have a crack at it. Damien says sell. Swagman says sell. Dylan says sell. I think we might get the Machine Guns back. Well, they're back as soon as this coming Thursday, actually. And they're wrestling together with Okada. So they are back. I'm going to sell. If he invokes option C and wins, I wouldn't surprise if Sabin retires. That's another point you could look at, too. Love Chris Sabin, especially slow motion Wrestle House with the knockoff. Take my breath away. I love Wrestle House, dude. I hope they continue to do that stuff. I'm going to miss that so much if they don't do that. I love it. Give Sabin maybe a 10-week run, just long enough to give another guy a shot. No sell. Sabin already has a TNA World Championship run some years ago. Besides Nick Nemeth and Alexander, Hammerstone should be next up for world title shots. We don't know if Hammerstone signed. I haven't heard anything at all about Hammerstone beyond that match with Josh, so I don't know anything about that, whether he's going to stick around. That I have no idea.
But it would be nice if he did.
Would be amazing if he did. No doubt. No sell for now. Main event scene just got crowded and deeper in talent.
Yep.
No sell. I think Shelley turns on Sabin and wants to win his title to cash in to get his rematch. Ooh. Okay, Clown. I see where you're coming from. I kind of like that. It's a little swerve on the whole thing there. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay. That could maybe Shelley goes a little nutsy right after he lost.
Hey.
Thinking like, what's my easiest way of getting back there? Well, I'm gonna beat you for that X Division title, and then I'm gonna Okay, I like that, man. I like that thinking. That's good. That's out of the box. I like it. John G says sell. Chris Sabin is a former TNA heavyweight champion. Deanna says no sell. No sell, Nick Nemeth and Alexander Hammerstone. Loaded in a good way. Speedball Mike Bailey. Jake something. Hammerstone not on the roster page yet. Moose should have gone a few month run. He deserves it. I don't think Moose is going to lose anytime soon. I don't think he'll lose anytime soon.
So, he may have it until Slammiversary or Bound for Glory, I would say, before
the question is, who do we see go up against him?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the question.
Yeah. Who do we see challenge? Because if he's going to keep it for, months, right? If he's going to keep it for 4 or 5 months, then it's not going to be, it probably won't be Josh. It's
Right.
definitely not going to be Nick Nemeth yet. So who then do you put in there? Who do you say, is going to get a shot at him? Maybe somebody like Eric Young.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe you start to see just some other people kind of creeping in there. Because remember, we had Faces as the champion for so long. Now you have the other side that's going to be trying to catch up. So yeah.
Yeah. And Joe, I'm gonna throw a name out that you might like. Andrew, I would say I would hold off on Macklin the same way I would hold off with Josh. I would wait for a little bit before I put Macklin back in that scene. And there's a reason why. I don't want him to take another loss right now because the trajectory that he's on, he looks very tough and they're presenting him very well. And I feel like with where Moose is right now, and I think Moose is climbing too. Um, I just don't want to see Macklin take another loss like that right now. But um, I want to see Moose and Macklin. I do at some point this year. I'd love to see it. Um, Joe,
I think
think
Barry Monkey just spoiled your idea, didn't he?
he did he did.
He does that. He did that
It's
to me
okay.
on the last show. Barry, you like read our minds or
He
something, man.
reads, he's tuned in. He's tuned
Yes.
in. But yeah, I mean, honestly, think about it because Moose and Joe Hendry do have some history.
They do. I could see that.
So I mean, why not? Why not? And then another name, if they sign AJ Francis, why not have him and Moose in a program? I would like that.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. Yeah. Yeah, that would be good. Joe Hendry would be good. Joe Hendry, can you see that? Oh, we already had the goofy video that he made for Moose once before. We might
Yeah.
get part two. And Joe Hendry is so beloved by
Yeah.
fans
Oh yeah.
that that would be a great program to see those two. So I think it's going to be a great year for TNA. Yeah, no doubt. I agree, Deanna. I agree. Mr. Majestic 13, yes, he was, but not on the roster page. No confirmation of a signing. If you want to build a bigger audience, maybe they give it to Nick eventually. I think eventually, but I do think he was serious, though, Deanna, when he said he doesn't want to, that he's not going to rush it. So I think that they're going to build that up. That may not even be Slammiversary time. It might be somewhere even a little further down the road.
Unless Joe, and this is a spicy take. And here's a wild theory: unless they just give it to him, so he can come in and say, I want to earn it. I respect all of you, but management says, hey, we got to put this guy in the main event scene because
Could be.
he's got a name. I mean, it would be an interesting play on a story, but it'd be kind of neat to see how he would interact with other people and him saying one thing out front and then other things happening in the background.
Yeah.
Just a little, little tangent that you can go off.
I'm sure that's where Deanna was going with that. Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. You want the name there, and of course more people. And this is no shot to Moose by any stretch of the imagination, but more people are going to know the name of Nick Nemeth over the name of Moose. So if you want to build that audience and get other people from other promotions watching, then yes, you're absolutely right. You're 100% correct.
Yep.
Imagine Joe Hendry and Alex Shelley. Joe Hendry with almost anybody is just freaking hilarious because he just gets those songs going and oh god, it's hilarious. All right, I think we got one more topic. Yeah.
Got one more topic. All right, I'm gonna blow that one up. So Karrion Kross will be a top talent in WWE in 2024. Sell or no sell?
Is this the year of Karrion Kross? Well, I think he's off to a good start. You know, when you're so many people were just kind of writing off this guy, which sucks. You know, oh, he's not being used, and oh, that WWE doesn't like him, and people are even going so far as to say, oh, he's gonna be gone. Um, I think he's in the perfect spot right now. I do. I think that whoever came up with this, whoever is writing this with the faction and everything, I think it's really, really good for him. I do believe that this is just the start of things for him as well. And yes, I'm going to sell it. I do believe that he's going to be one of the top talent in WWE. Now, people might argue and just say, well, what do you consider top talent? Right? You know, Seth, Roman, LA Knight. But I do think I have a lot of faith that this man can become very, very popular. And if you don't believe me, look at the promos that this guy films. Now, these weren't WWE promos. These are promos that he films by himself and puts on his Twitter. They're freaking amazing. And listen, wrestling is better. I've said this a gazillion times. Wrestling is better when you have some sort of dark force involved. And what he's got going with this faction is dark. I mean, hell, Scarlett changed her hair. She's now got black hair. It's a dark faction, I think. They're not going really supernatural or anything with it, but I think that this is where he's going to excel. The promos are right up his alley. And yeah, no, I could see it. I could totally see it. Now, the thing is what do you consider top? Are you saying he's going to be a title holder? Probably not. But I do think that he's going to go places, and I do think this is the right place to get him there. So, yeah, I will say, Jeff, he's going to be one of the top. I'm not going to say he's going to win a title or be on the top, but I do think he's going to move up, and I think we're going to see a lot more of him, and I think he's going to be, yes. So that's why I'm selling it. I do believe he will be a top talent in the company.
Yeah, I think I get the criticisms that people have and just saying, like they've given him several chances. The one thing that I would say is that wasn't his fault, the stuff that happened before. And I completely understand that sometimes when you have someone that gets repackaged from something that was working so well and then they get repackaged into something that doesn't work and then they just keep waffling on that person, it does kind of sour you. But I'm gonna say this. I think again, you bring up a good point with what do you define as the top? So I'm thinking I'm not gonna say mention him in the same breath as a Roman or a Cody, LA Knight, Randy Orton. I mean, people like that. I'm not saying that he'll be there at the end of the year, but he'll be in that next tier, maybe right below them by the end of the year. And I don't think, I mean, if done properly, I don't think you need to have him anywhere near a title. I think that people just like seeing him and his crew wreck shop right now. And you can build that out and take some people out and, make people have to form alliances, that kind of stuff. But I just, I think this will be a good year for him. I really do. I'm going to sell that.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I do too. Let's see what we got. We got some mixed reactions on this one. Selly is a great chance to be on top talent with Triple H in control of creative, and others easy should be Sell, but the jury is out for me. I do trust Triple H can make it happen. No Sell. I think he's a good mid-carder. He'll have matches, feuds, but I don't think he'll be on the top. Sell, my friend Carrying Cross is not just a Batman 89 fan, but he is a top talent. If they bring in a Taskmaster, Taskmaster in on this. Wone Ellie, he honors Bray with his genius. Deanna says, Cell. I'll give it one more chance and Cell. This is a make or break year for Karrion Kross, says Andrew. No Cell. I feel he will either be AEW or MLW in a year. Hope I'm wrong. No Cell mid card. These vignette videos have really been helping him out. Sean Rousset says Cell. You mean like repackaging bare-chested Keith Lee into vest-wearing Bearcat Keith Lee? He says, bonus baby. Unfortunately, this Karrion Kross repackaged gimmick is Bray Wyatt 2.0. I don't think so. I don't agree with that, Mr. Majestic. I'm a big Bray Wyatt fan, almost as anybody was. And so I don't see this. I don't see Bray Wyatt in this. I see this to be, you're talking about the Wyatt family? I don't think so. It doesn't have that same vibe to me. The Wyatt family was very unique because it seemed like they were a backwoods group of guys who came from like someplace in, the tumbleweeds of Texas somewhere, and they grew up like, well, you know the story behind that. Bray was saying they lived on a swamp. Kross doesn't look like that to me. This looks more like if you want to compare it really to any faction, you probably could compare it a little to the Bloodline in a way, because Kross kind of looks like he's just this messed up, like crazy kind of leader dude. And then he's got muscle. So that's kind of what I can see. Kross is a fan of superheroes and comic books. This reminds me more of I will use a current thing because we just, if you're a Marvel fan, Echo was just on, and Echo has the Kingpin. He reminds me of the Kingpin. That's what he looks like. That crazy, like leader dude, but yet he's also very, very strong himself, and he's got muscle. That's what he kind of comes off to me as here. So can he go a different way with it and go a little more crazy and go a little more supernatural? He could if they want him to do that. I don't necessarily think though that he needs to, but I think he's a little more to me of like a crime lord. Whereas Roman more gangster, kind of like Scarface, and that, not Scarface, but more Godfather, right? That more of that. Kross is like more of just, I don't know. That's just what I'm seeing anyway. But I'm not seeing that it's just a Bray Wyatt ripoff. That I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing that. Big Dan said more like a Marvel Street villain level, like Kross, like Wilson Fisk. Exactly. That's kind of how I see him. I don't think he's a Bray Wyatt thing at all. Good stuff. All right. So there you go. That is it for Sell or No Sell for the week. Thank you all for playing along. We are going to move on. We've got our new segment. We've got burning question of the week, Jeff, right? So what question is fire? What is that burning question that we've got for this week?
Matter of fact, let me because I have fallen down on my job here. Let me figure out what in the heck just happened as to why I can't add anything right now.
Uh-oh. Are we at a technology loss?
Well, a little bit of a technology loss, but it's okay. I think I've figured out what to do here, so I'm gonna just kind of live on the spot, folks. I apologize.
It happens.
It happens. We're gonna pull it back up real quick and do this all in real time because why not? Why not have a little bit of stress before a Monday that might have some stress.
Karrion Kross says Vincent D'Onofrio. Whoa, that's a little bit of a stress. D'Onofrio plays such a good role in that. He is. I was talking about, until Jeff gets his stuff going. I was talking about that with a friend of mine, and we were talking about best Marvel castings of all time. He is one of the best of all time. There is no doubt. To me, I go Robert Downey Jr., maybe Chris Evans, and then D'Onofrio probably is the third best cast Marvel character ever. He plays that role incredibly well. Incredibly well. So much so that I went back and started watching some of the old Netflix stuff. I started rewatching Punisher and stuff because I already forgotten about a lot of them. So, but yeah, that he's just tremendous in that role. I love how he's so calm. When he talks very calmly and soft, and then he snaps, and it's just it's so good. It's so good. I'm so happy they're doing those. So completely off the beaten path. But there you go. There's the burning question of the week. With Seth Rollins out of action for a while, how would you book the World Heavyweight Championship picture going forward? Again, play along in the chat. Let us know what you think they should do. How do you think the World Heavyweight Championship picture should be booked going forward? Jeff, I've got an easy answer for this one for me.
Okay.
This brings in, and we still haven't gotten any sort of confirmation for this at all, but this to me signals in the past with WWE what has happened when you've had things like this go wrong. They push that alarm button and they bring in a veteran. They bring in a John Cena. They bring in an Undertaker when back in the day. To me, this signals like they might need to push the button and they bring in The Rock. So whether they weren't going to do it, they were going to do it. It was teased. We haven't heard anything since. I think you need to bring in The Rock now. I think now you make WrestleMania Rock and Roman, and you do that. I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, but I think you do that now. And I think you obviously, it doesn't have to be, do it whatever way you want. If it's for the title, Rock's not winning it. If it's not for the title, make it for the tribal chief thing, the necklace. We've already seen that happen right with him and Jey Uso, so they've done it. So make it for that. Make it for the head of the table. Have that set up there. And then as far as Seth's, they'll have to figure out what indeed they want to do. Do they want to do a tournament? Do they want to, have the thing with Damian Priest and then, maybe he does beat Seth on Raw tomorrow, like someone had suggested. And now you're going to have somebody go up against him. The odd man out in this scenario is Cody Rhodes, I think, because Punk can really match up against anyone unless they're going to match up against each other, and that could be that could be why they're having that confrontation tomorrow too. Maybe one night you get Roman as the main event, defending against The Rock, and maybe the other main event is CM Punk and Cody Rhodes. Won't be for a title, but maybe, I don't know. Do they do a number one contender thing? There's any number of ways they could go, but to me, I think now, if they weren't thinking of doing it, if it was getting put on the back burner, if it was just a little tease and never really meant to be anything, I think now, at least to take care of the Roman side of things, I think now is a break glass and bring in the Rock moment and let that be one of your cemented main events. And then as far as Seth's title, there's a lot of different ways you could go, but I think that's what I would do. I think that's what I would do. I would at least cement that Roman Rock thing. You're going to get a ton of views. You're going to get a ton of people watching just because of the name alone. Having The Rock at a WrestleMania and main eventing a WrestleMania is huge. And so, and ultimately they want the viewers. They want the people watching. So now that Seth isn't there, you would have to change your night one main event. But that's how I would go with it. That's how I would go. What do you think, Jeff?
So I think they have a few different ways that they can go with this. So one being, you can do, I think the easiest thing to do right now would be to have Damian Priest cash in somehow tomorrow evening or at some point soon and have him take the title. I don't think that would lead to a long title reign, which I think Damian, deserves more than a short title reign at this point. Another option would be you could, with the Elimination Chamber, make that for that title. Don't have Roman in it. Don't worry about that. You don't need that title on the line there. Make it for this title. And the last thing that you could do is make the Rumble winner the champion. Have the Rumble be for the title. Hopefully, if what people are saying is true, if he's going to be back by Mania, then you could have the interim champion. You could call it, or the champion at that point, um, go up against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So you've got your new champion, but you've got the guy who didn't really lose it. He just had something unfortunate happen that cost him the opportunity to continue to have that title reign. So I mean, I don't think the situation is as dire as some people may be thinking. I mean, it sucks that we won't have Seth, and I mean, he's been doing a tremendous job. And anytime I get a chance to sing his praises on here, I do. But I think that they have so many people at the top of the card that it'll help cushion what you'll be losing with Seth. I think that it's gonna hurt still. I mean, even though you have all of that talent, but I mean, you've got some options there, and I'm sure there are a lot more that we're not even thinking of. So I'm sure that they'll have ways to kind of swerve us and do some different things, which hopefully it's going to play out well. And the main thing though is just Seth's health. That's the main.
Yeah. This was just reported, actually. This is again from 411 Mania, but this is from the Observer. At this time, plans have not changed regarding Rollins' match at WrestleMania. As of today, the plan is still for Punk versus Rollins at that event. It was noted that if Rollins requires surgery or experiences a delay in healing, then obviously that will force a change. It was noted that if Rollins had arthroscopic surgery, he would be back in time. If he has invasive surgery, he won't be. So there's a little bit of an update there for what that's worth. He did so the injury was revealed to be a torn MCL and a partially torn meniscus. So that's up to date. So if depending on what kind of surgery he can have and stuff like that as to whether or not he can. Now remember, we saw Cody Rhodes wrestle with a torn, what was that? Labrum? Torn pectoral.
Yeah.
Legs are a little harder, as you kind of need your legs to stand on, right? But yeah, I guess we'll just have to play it by ear and wait and see. Let's see what everybody's saying out in the crowd here. Short-term booking situation. Damian Priest finally uses that darn Money in a Bank briefcase. Could be Brock Lesnar, says Little Silver. Dial up Brock. Brock does come back for these big events. Wouldn't shock me. Would make a world title tournament. Many people from Raw and SmackDown are in it, and final two men, one is from Raw, one is from SmackDown. If the guy from SmackDown wins, he gets moved to Raw instantly. Okay. All right. Could dig that. Damian Priest and the Money in the Bank somehow make the Royal Rumble match for the World Championship. No, do not do that. No Rock or even Lesnar. I'd put it up for grabs in the Rumble. Long-term booking solution. Here's my thing, though, about the Rumble solution. What would you say to that if Cody Rhodes won it? Does that disappoint people? Because we'll get there. We're gonna get that same old argument, but he didn't finish his story. See, so you're kind of damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And then, like if a guy like, if a CM Punk won, okay, yeah, but there's people that if they would win that, I'm not so sure people would like the outcome. What if Gunther won it? Well, then you got two heels on top, right? Where do you go with that? And then do they put Cody against Gunther? And then again, you get back to that storyline. But this isn't his story. So it's just that's the conundrum I think you face a little bit there. Who wins it? The Rumble thing would be awesome. Yeah, I agree. It'd be very cool because there's stakes to it then. But who would you have win it? And again, if you don't have Cody win, and he's not wrestling Roman at Mania, then where does that go? It always is going to keep coming back to that for a lot of people. So I don't know. That's the only thing I could see to be a little weird there. A lot of people's favorite to win it is Gunther, by the way. A lot of people thinking Gunther's going to win the Rumble. So I don't know. It's interesting, but you could have some really weird stuff come out of that. So I don't know. Elimination Chamber gives the winner CM Punk or Cody Rhodes. Best case, Seth isn't out as long. Mania, you get Seth versus CM Punk. Cody doesn't want the belt, or would he want it? If no Rollins, Cody versus Punk. I'd have a quick tournament. Gives a champion the crowd would love. Chad Gable. Wow, that's a thing out of nowhere. Cody needs that match. You can see. I didn't even see her comment before I mentioned that, Heather. But there's a lot of people that feel that way. There's a lot of people who feel the same way you do. CM Punk versus Drew for the vacant title. If Seth can get cleared before Mania, I'd have Seth do promos just to continue heating it up. When Seth is ready to come back, put the WHC on Punk. If the crowd gets behind it, bring Seth back as a heel. Angry that of all people to win it, to win the belt, it had to be Punk and the crowd liking it. Watch if just to have Seth win it back. Why? Seth has had that belt for 300 days. They shortchanged Shinsuke and Drew to Seth need that belt back. Damian cashed in his briefcase on Seth, and then maybe he and CM Punk feud before the WrestleMania. But see, John, there's no startup for that. Where would the storyline for CM Punk feuding with Seth or with Damian come from? You're just clicking a switch and just turning into that. There's no buildup for that at all. There's no buildup. So I don't know. I don't know. I'd swerve people, Jeff said, and make them look. I think it would be a foregone conclusion that have the interim champ win it. Have Seth on the climb back up. He does some of his best work when the story has his back against the wall. Yeah, I agree. Don't think Brock will be a part of the contenders for the world title because we will see him versus Gunther at Mania. Down the road, Cody versus Roman. I'd love Shinsuke to win it. That's why they have to keep it. That's why they have to keep it Roman and Cody, not Roman and Rock. But Rock and see, we could go on and on about this. The Rock and Roman thing was supposed to happen. That's pretty much been made plain as day. That was supposed to happen in LA. In fact, I think that was supposed to happen back during COVID time. And of course, they had to switch everything up because of that. And then Rock got busy with movies and all that kind of stuff. So this was supposed to happen. And I always go back to this. And I know a lot of people don't take this for what it's worth. But I always go back to when Paul Heyman said, we're in the third inning. I don't believe he had any reason to lie or to exaggerate. I take him for what he said. I don't think this is over, guys. I hate to keep saying that over and over because I know a lot of you people want Roman to lose. But I really don't think it's happening until after he beats Hulk Hogan's record in September. I'm telling you, I just have a gut feeling that they want him to beat Hogan and take Hogan out of the record books. Well, not out, but knock him down a peg in the record books. We'll see. Interesting stuff. Good stuff, everybody. Thank you so much. Love the discussion. Awesome. Very cool. I love this burning question thing. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's been fun to discuss some of these.
Yeah, I love it. Get a little controversy stirred up, a little fire.
A little fire.
I love it. Top 3 moments of the week, guys. It's that time. We're going 3, we're going 2, we're going 1. So give us your top 3 moments of wrestling for this past week. We're going to start at number 3. Jeff, what's your number 3 moment of the week?
Oh, I love a good comeback story. So my number 3 moment of the week is really just how they've done with Karrion Kross. And I think, like I said earlier, this is going to be a good year for him. I hope it is because, man, at one point, he was like the hottest thing in wrestling. And they kind of they doused the flames of that fire, I feel. And folks lost interest. But hopefully people come back and give him another chance. And hopefully this new regime is able to present him in the proper way.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. My number 3, Scott Damn Demore, man. I love that dude. I really do. And I've known him since he was, when he was wrestling and stuff. I knew of him, but listen, when any boss of a company comes out, and listen, I know we have characters, right? We had Mr. McMahon for many years and stuff, and the things he would do with the wrestlers and all that, and we seem to have, we have villain owners but anytime a guy comes out and is as excited as he comes, walking, stomping down to that ring, and you could just see, man, he's just ready to explode. And he gets in the ring and he starts going off about who in that back room would not have gotten extremely fired up when you see your boss going out to the ring and doing all this, dude. Those guys in the back were probably like, they're probably back there, yes, like screaming in the back room. That is so cool because you just don't see it done. It's not something that you're going to see, a CEO of a company, the guy that's in charge, come out with that kind of emotion and just raw emotion and just lets it go. And just, flips out about saying he probably never saw a match that good in all of his wrestling career. And then he's talking about Josh, and each note out of his voice is straining, screaming. I don't know how I hate that voice. I don't know. Listen, guys, when, if you've ever gotten in a heated argument, right, with that, no matter who it might have been, you get so hyped up and so upset that sometimes you can't even talk anymore. It can't even come out because you're just so like riled up. I don't know how he got his voice that way, but that was amazing. And if that didn't speak TNA, they should have immediately clipped that. I hope they did. I didn't see it, but they should have immediately clipped that segment and threw it up there. That is about as good of a promotion as you can get for TNA wrestling. About anything that should be on their homepage, on their YouTube page, clipped, and it should be played over and over and over again. That is amazing. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen anyone do in watching wrestling, and I that was just tremendous. That's my number 3. Was so good, dude. Dude, I was fired up. I wanted to go wrestle for him after that was over.
Yeah.
Man, I was all fired up after that. It was so good. All right. Let's see what we got. Number 3, Roxanne winning number 1 contenders battle royal, says Brandon. Championship scramble match, Hogan and Goldberg storm the ring. Oh, God. Dan's always mentioning Goldberg. Nick Nemeth promo, says James Grant. John G says KK promo. Keep this segment. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Dan. That you mean the burning question? Yeah, definitely we are. It's a good one. That was all Jeff's idea. Came up with that. As much as it hurt, KiLynn King's injury tweet. Loved hearing her say how much she loves TNA and looks forward to coming back. Yeah, it was. I was glad to see that too, and how they had said that she was definitely a part of TNA because someone did ask her that. Someone mentioned that to her when she put out the post and saying, and she said, I am definitely in TNA. I loved it too. Brandon Wayne Lewis says Pete Dunne. So the reveal of the Pete Dunne name. Yeah, definitely a big moment. Deonna Purrazzo's interaction with Toni Storm on Dynamite. You could tell that the ladies are having fun with that. Swag Fan says Scott D'Amore. Heather, Drew and Cody's interaction on Raw. Nick Nemeth and Macklin promo and Ospreay and Josh match issue on 3-2-1. Deanna says Pete Dunne is her number 3. Deanna and Tony segment after Deanna's match. Eric Young's promo introduction to the pay-per-view. That's a good shout.
That was tremendous.
It really was. That was sick, dude.
Yeah.
That was really good too.
Yeah.
That was sick, man. Yeah. Did you see English's reaction when Scott announced was back? It looked like he wanted to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
It was really good, dude. Andrew says the promo wars, Drew versus Cody, Nemeth versus Macklin, and AJ Styles versus LA Knight. Yeah. There were some good promos this week. Yeah. There were some good promos this week, no doubt. All right, Jeff, what's your number 2?
All right, my number 2. I'm going to give credit where credit is due, and I'm going to shout out the main event of AEW Dynamite, Samoa Joe versus Hook. I thought that this was a really good match. Really love the storytelling. Samoa Joe, I'm just gonna say this, and this is no disrespect to Hook because he's talented, but Samoa Joe is the dance partner that you want. Like he's gonna make you look good. He does his thing. I mean, eh, dude is just so talented, and again, another guy that doesn't get enough love, I feel, at times, just for what he's done in the business. But I thought that match really it elevated Hook, but it also showed a fierceness from Joe that I feel is needed for their champion going forward until, that changes hands again. But I feel like they need a force like Joe, and he presented that very well in this match. So that was my number two.
Nice. Very nice. My number two, I'm gonna go with he's that old grizzled vet now, but I'm gonna go with Randy Orton. Randy just well, first of all, that dude. Whenever I see him now on SmackDown, that dude is jacked, man. He is just jacked.
Yeah.
He comes down and look, you gotta love when they do this kind of thing because you know what they're going into, right? The fatal four-way and stuff like that. And the chances are pretty slim that it's not going to be Roman that comes out of that match. However, Randy Orton and what he did, giving you hope that, hey, I just took a spear from Roman Reigns, and yet I get up and I RKO him and leave him laying inside of the ring. That's pretty cool. And Randy's just amazing, dude. To come back from the back surgery that he had. And I'll tell you what, Jeff, when I watch him every time when he does that draping DDT, I cringe.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time now, I'm like I cringe a little bit because he goes down so hard on his back. And then when they, when he was putting him through, I think it was Solo, I think was putting him through a table at one point on the outside, and the back sitting the table. It just, you're just like, oh gosh. But Randy's amazing. He's a pro's pro. And no matter what you put him in, what you have him doing, he's gonna make it look good, no matter what he's doing. So, and then LA Knight coming around, kind of sniffing around him. You knew he's taking an RKO. It's like you don't mess around with Randy. So I love what Randy Orton's doing. Whether or not he's going to get that title shot, I don't know. Or whether he could win the title. You can say anything in wrestling can happen, but I just don't see it. I don't know where it's going to go from there, where it's going to go. But you're getting a storyline of three men that don't trust one another. And usually the person who benefits from that is the champion, because those guys can never trust one another to do, to help out each other. They're going to be fighting amongst themselves so much. So, but I like it. Yeah, Randy is having fun. I agree. The smile on his face and everything. But he's wrestling when he probably didn't think he ever would. So yeah, that's my number two. I just love the stuff with Randy. I think it's great. All right, number two, Randy Orton standing tall after post-match fiasco, said Brandon, Nick Nemeth and Macklin, Drew and Cody. Macklin Nemeth promo and the system out in the town in Vegas. That was fun. Kazarian's heel turn. Never really expected it. Swerve's promo building up Hangman, but still saying he's better. Return of Pete Dunne, breaking bones again. Forgot about Joe. He may be my favorite champ across all three promotions, says Heather. Two for me was the interaction between Nemeth and Macklin. Randy, Brandon Wayne Lewis, Hook versus Joe, says Deanna, was number two. Randy is having fun. I was prepared this week with three. Don't ask me why this week is different. LOL. Randy, Damage Control, Asuka, and Kyrie trying to ask for a title match. That was funny. Those two are funny. Yeah. Kyrie turning around and just smacking her butt in front of them and stuff like that. That's funny stuff. All right. You don't tug on Superman's cape. That's a good song. You don't mess around with Jim. Great song, dude. I remember that very well. You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit in the wind. You don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with. Yep. I know it well. I know it well. My parents listened to a lot of that old time country and Western stuff. Love it. RKO on Roman Joe and Hook main event NXT Women's Battle Royal. All right. Number one. What's your number ones? Jeff, what do you got?
All right.
What's your number one?
So my number one is what happens when you have a delicious cake, right? And then someone says, well, would you like some ice cream? Well, of course I'd like some ice cream. And then they say, well, we're going to put some whipped cream and chocolate and a cherry and all that stuff on there. So you have this delicious dessert, and it keeps getting better. And then, just when you think it's all done, then you get sprinkles on top, right?
Yep.
That was TNA last Thursday for me. The entirety of the episode. That main event was crazy. Nick Nemeth and Macklin, tremendous. There's a lot to be excited about with TNA wrestling, and I think that was a heck of a way to kick that era off. So kudos to TNA wrestling, all the talent, all the folks behind the scenes. Just great work as always, and looking forward to what happens in 2024 and beyond.
I can't really say it any better. I was going to break it down and put and have Josh's match as number one, but you know what? You can't really the whole damn thing and what wrapped all up into one is the number one because Jeff's 100% right. I couldn't have said it better. What an exciting way to start off their very first episode of TNA Impact with everything that they did during that show. You had so many different things going on there. You had some really cool promos. And then just the way it ended was absolutely tremendous. And what a way to start a new company. You always remember the first. You always remember the first. And you always remember that very first episode. And people will look back on that and say, well, did it succeed or did it fail? They definitely succeeded 100%. They are going to get people watching. They're going to get word out. And this is going to be a huge, huge year for TNA. So totally agree. All right, let's see what people got. Nick Nemeth versus getting annoyed with the crowd over the "You Still Got It" chant. Ospreay versus Josh. Combination of the Ospreay Alexander match with the D'Amore promo. AJ Styles, Evil Ways. Hook's valiant effort against Samoa Joe. TNA episode is worthy of the number one spot. Roxanne wins the Battle Royal. The entire TNA show. TNA number one C. Number one B TNA. Number one A TNA. Josh and Will. I think Mark's saying TNA. Andrew Stevens, number one TNA left a major impact. Nice. I like the wording.
What you did.
Nice. We see you. Watch out, AEW and WWE. Randy giving the RKO to LA Knight and AJ Styles and Roman. How can it be anything other than Alexander Ospreay? Duh. Yes. Duh. Thursday show did what it needed. Let's make sure the TNA fans keep them trendy. Good stuff. One last quick thing, because you know what? Jeff sends me out a script that he writes for the show every week, and I just noticed this on the bottom, and I'm like, what the hell did I just not read this when he sent this out before? Like skipped right over it. But one last thing we want to finish up with, right? Really quickly in the chat. One thing, because we're going to leave the chat with a high note here at the end. One thing in wrestling, one little tiny thing in wrestling that made you laugh this week. One thing that made you giggle. Let us know. And I'll go no further than freaking R-Truth, dude. That man has a flair for comedy. Listen, if he wasn't a wrestler, he should have been a stand-up comic. He is just fantastic. Makes me laugh every damn time I see him, and he doesn't even really have to be doing much, and that's the beauty of it. He is so good at that, and I just love the fact that he's back. I missed him. I think every wrestling show needs this right now. In TNA, you have Joe Hendry, who makes me laugh. R-Truth there. Everybody kind of needs this. I think in AEW, you could probably say it's Danhausen, maybe, right? Danhausen does a lot of that.
Yeah.
I think every wrestling show needs somebody who could do this. And I think, R-Truth is just so damn good at it. And I just love what he does, and how he still thinks he's in the Judgment Day, and they can't stand him, and it's like it's just fantastic. It's fantastic, and it makes me laugh. Wrestling should always make you happy and also make you laugh a little bit. And so I can't believe I kept forgetting about this. I'm like, what the hell was I doing? I was never. Jeff's probably thinking like, what the hell, man? I put this in the thing so long ago, and he's not doing this. Let's see. Jeff, what about you? What made you laugh?
Tony Storm.
Nice.
She's slowly becoming one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've always enjoyed her work. Always thought she was talented, but what she's doing right now is just so fun, so over the top. I love every bit of it. I mean, and obviously, R-Truth. I mean, we could give that to him every week, but yeah, Tony Storm.
Yeah, she's killing it, man. She absolutely is killing it. I love her promos. DJ Kid in the Trash. That was amazing. That was amazing. Hendry's so good at making people laugh too. Just really good at it. R-Truth being with JD is golden. Tony Storm and Truth and Tozawa too. He's another one who's really good with that stuff. And yeah, definitely. Truth and Hendry. Justice for Cheez-Its. Oh man. R-Truth, says Deanna. Anything Tony Storm does. Agreed. Tony Storm and Joe Hendry for me. Punch you in the box, says Clown. Oh my gosh, dude. So good. Yeah. We just want to do this every week. Just kind of get you laughing a little bit. But before we wrap the week up, because this one was a little heavy. With all the bad news and all that kind of thing. It sucks. But we want to end it on a good note, so that everybody can go away with a little bit of smile, a little bit of laughter. That Tony Peach is very, very talented. Von Wagner in NXT. I want to say first, he's improving as a wrestler. I like him, but his promo work is so terrible and wooden. It's hilarious. Another person who made me laugh is NXT's talent, Ariana Grace. Her reaction being thrown out in the Battle Royal was so good. She's so like her dad, Santino, LOL. Yeah, and that's why what made me think of this was the Asuka and Kyrie promo, the thing that they were doing. Kyrie, doing her little dance, and Asuka doing it. I think they're funny. It makes me laugh as well, so I couldn't resist. It is the funny segment, Tazzy. It fits. One last quick thing, and I know he watches our show, but I know he's not here for a reason, and I have to say, Conrad, I'm sorry, dude. That's a sucky way for your team to lose, man. Was rooting for you. I was hoping it was going to be you guys in Detroit that could have played in the Super Bowl. So if you listen to this, it sucks, man. But hey, look at it this way. Your team got further than mine. Oh, man. All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up here. Please, again, make sure that you drop a like on the stream. It's very, very important for us. Please make sure you sub to the channel if you are new. And if you are new, hit the bell as well. And this way you'll know when we have the future content coming up this week. As I said prior, we should have Abby's on Tuesday at 6. If not, we'll let you know. Of course, we have TNA Impact on Thursday, which will be our normal 7:45 p.m. start. So come back for that. That's got really interesting stuff. We've got Okada there. There's going to be some really, really big matches there. Of course, Trinity and Jordan Grace, the rematch, is probably going to be the main event. We'll see, but another big night for TNA Impact. And then this coming Saturday, it's Rumble time, guys. It's Rumble time. We're going to get a lot of these questions maybe answered, maybe even tomorrow night on Raw when Seth comes out to speak, and we'll see what we talked about, if any of it comes to pass. And, of course, be with us next Saturday. We'll get the time out for you. As it looks right now, to do our predictions, unless we can get a prediction show together, which I don't know if we will be able to. So if we don't, we're going to be probably looking at a 7:15 start time on Saturday for the Rumble. This way we'll be able to get the predictions in. Prior to that, make sure you join Tazzy for his hype party on his channel for the Rumble. So big weekend coming up, big week coming up. And then, of course, next week we'll be right here to wrap it all up in a bow and tie it up on the week that was, like we did tonight. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Enjoy your week. Have a great night. Thank you for coming out. We appreciate you as always. And stay safe. Be kind to one another, please. And hopefully we will see you all on our next show. Have a great night, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.